Welcome everyone that is joining the webinar. We are going to allow a few moments just for people to log on and fill out the poll that you see popping up. And as you log in, I would love to hear where everyone is tuning in from. Where in the country or where in the world are you? And what profession are you in? If you're a student, what grade? You can just type that in the chat box. I have my chat pulled up here so I can see that. So I'm in San Diego, California, and would love to know where everyone else is tuning in from. So what area are you in, and what's your profession, or if you're a student, what grade? I've been to 15 different states this year, so I'm in California now, but looking forward to hearing where others are tuning in from. So most people are filling out the poll. Thank you for completing that. All right, we got Ronnie in Louisiana. What other corners of the country do we have? Coasts of the country. Jim, welcome from Kansas. Excellent. Another Jim from Columbus, Ohio. Sierra in Seattle. Nice. Washington State is one of the states that I went to this year. Thanks, Sierra. Shauna, Mississippi. Russ in Minnesota. Nice. We have some good representation from all over the country. Bethesda, Maryland. Nice. I was just in DC a couple weeks ago, ran the Marine Corps Marathon. Allison is in New York. Eb, Alabama. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We are going to get started. So tonight's webinar is on a hot topic, alcohol and athletic performance. And we have one more, another California, Fresno, college student majoring in dietetics. Excellent, welcome, welcome. So we'll get started with the webinar, and as you know, this is live, so feel free to type in the chat box when I'm asking you guys questions. We're gonna have some case studies at the end. Would love to hear your input on those, so keep the chat handy. So tonight's webinar is on alcohol and athletic performance. My name is Andrea Givens, and I am a sports dietitian out of San Diego, California. I have worked in professional sports, Olympic sports, and currently I work with tactical athletes in the military and in fire departments and law enforcement across the country. So tonight's webinar, we are going to cover the trends in alcohol consumption among athletes, how alcohol affects athletic performance, how alcohol plays a role in dehydration, the impact of alcohol on muscle recovery and growth, how alcohol interferes with hormone production, vitamins and minerals that are affected by alcohol intake, and also how alcohol can lead to increased body weight. So if you're just now joining in, we're just getting started. Go ahead and fill out the poll and type in the chat where you're tuning in from. We have a lot of people from all across the country, great representation in geographic location and also, I believe, profession. So that's great. All right, so first we have to start with what is considered a standard drink. So the CDC defines one alcoholic drink as roughly 14 grams of alcohol. This is going to mean a different volume depending on what you're drinking. So the image you see on your screen here is each about 14 grams of alcohol across different drinks. So that's going to be 12 ounces of beer, 8 or 9 ounces of liquor, 5 ounces of wine, or an ounce and a half of a shot of liquor. So you sometimes can see on menus, if you go to like a brewery or if you are looking at the can or the alcohol like in a store, you can see what's called ABV, which is alcohol by volume percentage. And so the higher the ABV, the higher amount of alcohol that that drink has in it. So you can either see that on the alcohol bottle or can itself if you have access to that, or a lot of times at restaurants or other things like breweries, they'll have that listed on the menu. So you can see higher alcohol percentage, higher alcohol. So alcohol consumption among athletes is really common, and athletes specifically tend to binge drink more than their non-athletic counterparts. So moderate alcohol consumption, again defined by the CDC, is considered no more than 1 drink a day for females and no more than 2 drinks per day for males. And no, you cannot save all your drinks up on the weekend and have them all then. More than 4 drinks in an occasion is considered binge drinking for females, and more than 5 drinks in a single occasion is considered binge drinking for males. Alcohol is a common part of sports culture, and again, athletes tend to binge drink or drink more on a single occasion than non-athletes. Alcohol comes with calories. We know that carbohydrate and protein have 4 calories per gram, fat has 9 calories per gram. Alcohol also has calories, 7 calories per gram, and this can make up about 5% of an athlete's total calorie intake. So it's a significant amount of calories. So we care about alcohol, and we're looking into this in terms of athletic performance because it can have negative impacts on your performance, on building and maintaining muscle mass, on your hydration status, on your weight, how hormones are influenced in the body, and also on vitamin function. So looking at physical performance and how alcohol affects that. So we know that alcohol has an acute effect, but it also has an effect the next day or next few days. You can, if you think of like a hangover, as your body has to process the alcohol out of your system. There's no storage form of alcohol in our body like there is fat, carbohydrate. So alcohol is poison and our body has to metabolize it and get it out. So while it's in our body, it can limit our oxygen uptake. It can alter our ability to thermoregulate and maintain our body temperature in an appropriate way. It can increase the risk of depression. And then acutely, it can impair your balance, your reaction time, fine motor skills, and memory. Obviously, it's illegal to drive or operate heavy machinery when you're drinking, but we also see these effects lasting in the days following drinking, even when you're not acutely intoxicated. So hydration, really important for athletic performance. How alcohol affects hydration is that it's a diuretic, so it increases water or urine loss from the body. It's a diuretic, it's also a vasodilator, and so potentially it can contribute to dehydration. You see this urine color scale. So just a quick and dirty way to check your hydration status. You want to aim for a light straw colored yellow. And this almost looks like a flight of beer or something like that you would get at a brewery with the IPA on the right-hand side and something lighter on the left-hand side. But this is a urine color chart, and you want to aim for those 3 colors on the right-hand side. Alcohol, however, can shift you, to the left-hand side. Alcohol is going to shift you to the right-hand side. So alcohol can impact recovery and growth. Alcohol impairs our body's ability to replete glycogen stores. Also, acutely, it can lower our blood sugar level. This is especially dangerous if you have type 1 diabetes, but it can cause hypoglycemia, which results in dizziness, fainting, seizures. So it can be pretty dangerous. Alcohol definitely impacts sleep. So a lot of people say and think that alcohol helps them fall asleep, which may be true. However, it impairs the quality of your sleep. So just because you're able to fall asleep more quickly, that's not the whole picture when it comes to sleep. It doesn't help you have good sleep quality. when we're sleeping, this is when physical and cognitive restoration occur in our body, and we aren't getting into that deep sleep where we get that physical repair and human growth hormone release. So drinking alcohol may help you fall asleep, but it doesn't help with the quality of your sleep. And in fact, it impairs that growth and repair process. Hormone production. So alcohol can affect our hormones. I mentioned in the previous slide with the sleep, human growth hormone is affected and decreased. Alcohol also can have a negative impact on testosterone, both sex steroid hormones, testosterone, and also estrogen. Alcohol can also impact our vitamin and mineral function in the body. So really important vitamins and minerals for athletes include calcium. So calcium in relation to alcohol. So alcohol negatively impacts hormones, our hormone systems that can contribute to a loss in calcium. So over time, this can be concerning for loss of calcium, decreased bone structure, risk for things like stress fractures, overuse injuries, and just injuries in general. Alcohol also interrupts the absorption of vitamin D, which goes back to calcium. This again can contribute to weakened bone structure, also can contribute to liver problems, again, increased risk of fractures. Another area that alcohol impacts is our B vitamins. So alcohol is metabolized by the liver using B vitamin niacin, thiamine, and this can decrease the availability of these vitamins for their use in metabolism, which is their primary function in the body. So alcohol, if you guys have had alcohol before, you might realize that it lowers your inhibitions, decreases your blood sugar, and makes you feel hungry. And it also, because it lowers your inhibitions, it could cause you to, and makes you hungry, could cause you to make nutrition choices, food choices that are calorie dense and a little less healthy. This could result in excess weight gain. Another reason that alcohol, so it can influence your food choices. Another reason it could cause weight gain is because alcohol itself has calories. So I've had a lot of people, specifically with the popularity of the hard seltzers like White Claw, ask me like, how is there 100 calories in this when it says 0 sugar? So, and the reason for that is because alcohol itself has calories. So in addition to any calories you might be getting if you're having other sorts of drinks like beer or wine or mixed drinks, you're also getting the calories from alcohol, and this can result in excess weight gain. The calories can add up really quickly. Again, it lowers your inhibitions, and so you can make food choices that are calorically dense, not as healthy, that results in excess weight gain. And that's not only when you're acutely drinking or acutely intoxicated, but this can also carry over into the days following. And I think that that's really important, is we a lot of times think of those just acute effects of alcohol, but really this can last for 2, 3, even 4 days following alcohol consumption, depending, of course, on how much you're drinking. And so not just the day, the time that you're drinking, but it's your physical performance, your reaction time, all that is compromised. Also in the days following, same thing with your food choices. Okay, so even though alcohol has calories, there's nothing else of nutritional benefit in it. It really can contribute to dehydration acutely. It can cause dizziness. Over the long term, chronic alcohol intake can decrease our bone density and also cause weight gain. So all of these things are kind of an uphill battle if you care about your athletic performance. Definitely a reason to maybe consider a dry season. We know that alcohol, of course, is a really big part of sporting culture. However, because of so many of these negative consequences, consider having a dry season or just drinking less, alternating alcoholic drinks with non-alcoholic drinks on the days you are choosing to drink. Make sure that you don't have an important practice, training, or game the day or 2 days following that. Just really kind of take a look at, you know, your beverage choices. Nowadays, there's so many different options in terms of non-alcoholic drinks I think it's much easier now than it was even just a couple of years ago to decrease your consumption of alcohol, whether that's the amount you're drinking, the percentage, the grams, lots of different ways to drink less. And I know a lot of people, a lot of students, student athletes just go for an entire like dry season. There's January, different months out of the year too, that people just abstain from alcohol, like a dry January or really anytime. All right, so we're into the case studies. So I'll read these and then I want you guys to put your answers to these questions in the chat box and we'll have a little discussion on this. So our first case study is Jacob, who is 22 and he is a collegiate football player. He's feeling fatigued and is complaining of excessive thirst at a game on Friday. Little background, he did not eat a recovery meal after yesterday's practice. A few hours after practice, he went to a bar with a group of friends. He had about 7 drinks and he stayed out to the bar until 2 a.m. So pretty typical college athlete, or maybe not typical, but this could definitely occur in a college athlete. So first question, should Jacob have been out drinking the night before an important game? Type in the chat, what do you guys think? Start you off with some easy answers, easy discussion. So is it a good idea for athletes to drink the night before a game? So that's one place to reduce alcohol intake if you're not having an entire dry season, is just not the night before a game, or even not the 2 nights before a game. Excellent, everyone's saying no. So is the 7 drinks considered binge drinking for a male? What do you guys think? Yep, so technically the definition for binge drinking for males is more than 5 drinks. So this is considered binge drinking. And why was Jacob feeling fatigued, dizzy, and having excessive thirst during the game? Oops. Because he was dehydrated. Yep. Let's see if I can back up here. Let me see if I can get back to that slide. Okay. Here we go. We're back. All right. Yep. So he was feeling fatigued, dizzy, and having excessive thirst during the game because he was dehydrated, which we don't have any stats from the game, but we know that this can lead to decreased reaction time, decreased force production because of the dehydration and because he had previously been drinking. All right, so what advice should we give Jacob the next time that he wants to go out and drink with friends? So let's say this is your athlete. What advice or rules? Drink a mocktail. Thanks, Shauna. I love that answer. Does anybody have a favorite mocktail recipe? Substitute some drinks with a non-alcoholic drink. Yes, exactly. I'm really surprised. It seems like every time I look, there's a new non-alcoholic beverage. So either alcohol removed wine, non-alcoholic IPA, hoppy water, lots of mocktail and non-alcoholic options. Jennifer's mocktail suggestion is soda water with a splash of cranberry. I love that, Jennifer. One of my favorites, especially for athletes, is soda water with tart cherry juice because of the additional benefits that we get from tart cherry juice. adding that, having that into a mocktail, maybe with a little squeeze of lime. That's my go-to mocktail recommendation. Hang out with friends, but don't go to the bar. Yeah, so a lot of times people think that if they have to abstain from drinking, they have to totally avoid hanging out with their friends, and that's not it at all. Most people won't even notice if you're not drinking. If you just have like a soda water with lime or a mocktail or water, something in your hand, most people won't even notice that you're not drinking alcohol. So definitely still go hang out in those social situations, but just not drinking. And then Jim says eating a recovery meal and only having one drink. I love that you included the recovery meal because that is a great recommendation. And that's kind of one of the messages that we need to be giving to athletes is if you are going to drink, do not ever drink on an empty stomach. Alcohol can be absorbed through the stomach really quickly, especially if there's no food in there, which can bring on all the negative effects even faster. And so having a meal first, if you are going to drink, is a really good suggestion. Love that. All right, let's see our case study number 2. Thanks for chiming in, everyone. All right, next up we have Kelsey, who's a 24-year-old soccer player. She has been complaining about feeling weak and fatigued at practice, in addition to having an increased body weight. When she had her blood checked, she was deficient in vitamin D. Some background, she has been going out to clubs and drinking with friends multiple times a week over the past few months since it has been off season. When she isn't going out, she's still drinking 1 to 2 glasses of wine nearly every night. She has not been following a balanced diet since she is usually too tired to cook for herself and often craves greasy foods. So for Kelsey, even though she's in the off season, how will this impact her performance when she is in season if she doesn't make any changes to her lifestyle? What do you guys think? What are some of the risks with having 1 to 2 glasses of wine every night and going for convenience, high fat foods most often? Go ahead and type in the chat box what you think some of the risks are to her when she does go back in season. Oops. Go back to that screen so you guys can see the question. All right, Matthew, thanks for contributing to the discussion. So she will not be in condition when the season starts and will be at a greater risk of injury. Boom, love that. Absolutely. Jim says not able to perform as well and she may gain weight as she already has and less inclined to work out efficiently. Yeah, so the fitness gains are not going to be there. The progress that she could be making in the off season is going to be hindered. Increased body weight, definitely. Will be unable to handle the training load. Absolutely. Yeah, her fitness is not going to progress if she is eating and prioritizing nutrition, limiting alcohol. Russ, thanks for contributing to the discussion. Weight gain, suboptimal performance, greater risk of injury, and won't have properly fueled to be able to perform. Yeah, you guys are on it. Oops. Keep advancing the slides too quickly. Let's go back. Okay, what factors are contributing to the increase in body weight? So what do you guys think? Greasy food, multiple nights of drinking per week. That one's easy for all of you guys that are probably, you probably got that one. Yep, excess calories, empty calories, yeah. So again, our body does not store alcohol. It needs to be metabolized immediately. So in addition to alcohol itself having 7 calories per gram, our metabolism of carbohydrate and fat are kind of put on the back burner until our body can metabolize and get rid of the alcohol. So it's really extra calories. If Kelsey does have a vitamin D deficiency, what other nutrient is she at risk of having a deficiency in? So where's my dietetic student at? Calcium. Oh, you guys all know it. Yep. Excellent. Calcium and K2. Yeah. So important to tell calcium, vitamin D where to go. And okay, so what would be your recommendations for Kelsey in this scenario? How can we help to set her back on the right track so that when she's in season again, she can progress and be at her best? What would you guys advise? For Kelsey, our 24-year-old. You guys had some good recommendations for our last case study. What would you tell Kelsey? Yeah, so since it's the off season, maybe limiting having alcohol consumption to just 1 day of the week or 2 days of the week, and then also make sure that it's moderate consumption. So maybe just 1 drink since she's female. Jim says limit alcohol content per day, taking the time to eat healthy, limiting amount of time to go to clubs. Yeah, being out at night also is probably means that she's not sleeping as much. So definitely kind of changing the schedule, maybe finding some other activities to do with friends that are not going out and drinking. Follow a balanced diet year-round, eat to perform. Love it. Thanks for contributing to those answers. So we went over a lot of these questions. If you guys have any questions, you can type them in the chat box as we wrap up here. Again, the number of drinks that's considered, moderation is no more than 1 drink a day for females, no more than 2 drinks a day for males, and you cannot save those up for the weekend. That is considered binge drinking. I guess I should say at the beginning of this that the recommendation is if you don't drink, don't start. But moderation, if you do choose to drink, is what I just mentioned. There definitely can be better options for alcoholic drinks. So anything with less alcohol percentage by volume, non-alcoholic drinks. If you are consuming like mixed drinks, getting lower calorie ones are some things that you can do. Alcohol impacts everybody differently. It's dependent on genetics, our body size. And so everyone can be different, even though everyone can respond differently, even though the moderation recommendations for drinks is just male, female, but alcohol then further can impact everyone differently. So it's important to consider that. Does any food or drink cure a hangover? So unfortunately, no. Being hydrated, rehydrating can help. However, nothing's going to cure a hangover because your body just has to metabolize the alcohol and get it out of your body. The amount that you drink is going to depend on how long it's going to take you to recover. Most of the time, it's going to take an hour or so to have like 1 standard drink, feel the acute effects from that. But the cumulative effect, the amount of drinks that you're having at one time is going to depend, that's going to factor into how long it's going to take you to get out of your system. Does alcohol have health benefits in moderation? So those studies are tricky. There are some saying that red wine in moderation is associated, has a relationship with some health benefits, but at the end of the day, alcohol in general, if you're consuming alcohol to be healthy, you're barking up the wrong tree. Okay, so we have this quote to end with. Just believe in yourself, even if you don't pretend you do, and at some point you will. And that's our star tennis player, Venus Williams. This is the QR code. If you need more information, this will take you to the website. And then we want to make sure that everybody sees this. We have our one-on-one sports nutrition coaching, different plans available through our website. So make sure that you check out our services, all the services that are offered from my sports dietitian to help your athletes accomplish their body weight goals, their performance goals, and their health goals. So hopefully everybody can take a moment to check out the website and the different products that we offer. Everything is personalized to either a different sport, or the one-on-one coaching, of course, is personalized even further. So if anybody has any final questions on alcohol and athletic performance, you can either type them in the chat box, and I believe there's also a Q&A box as well. So you guys can drop those in, and I'll be happy to answer those as we wrap up. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to the webinar from all over the country. We've had an awesome representation from just about every region, I think, and a good distribution of professions as well. How much of this information would you share with your high school students? That is a good question. I think that you can share the information. Maybe some of the recommendations seem a little more targeted, but just sharing the general information. I mean, these kids are hearing this information. They're getting information from other places. And so it's important for them to just have these facts on especially with the risks of alcohol, the dangers, and relating it to athletic performance, because I think coming in from that angle can give a lot of, or they'll receive it a little better. A lot of times they're getting information from other adults and their parents on, you know, don't do this, it's wrong, but actually coming at it from, this can negatively impact your sports performance with high school athletes. I think that they might be more willing to listen to that and take it a little more seriously. Good question. Thanks for asking that. Anyone else? Any other questions? All right, well, thank you again for tuning in. And if you guys need more sports nutrition resources, make sure that you check out my sports dietitian website for all of our different offerings we have there. Tons of education, information, meal plans, coaching, and hopefully I will see you guys out there in the wild.